right now, everybody's on African music. Everybody's on African music. They want to get on it.
Do you think that Nigerians will win this thing from this year? That's the end. What are your thoughts?
Of course. I see Ashake, see Thames, see Rema.
Sure.
Definitely, 100%.
Do you know that there are other niggas in Africa that are equally as talented as Nigerians?
Yes,
but vocal performance.
But this is Nigeria now.
Wait, let's have the mic to this guy. No. We're having a conversation now. Have you heard of guys in Morocco? Have you heard those people sing? Have you heard people from North Africa? Shebi, we're here the other day, and somebody, Ziggs Bantwini, and what's that her name again? Forgotten her name. The Jerusalem daughter. They collected the award. Please bring the mic to this guy. Thank you. This guy here. Please remind me your name again.
Yeah, Davis.
Yeah. Oh yeah, now.
Honestly, I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
See, there are wonderful talent in Africa. Wonderful talent. Okay, look at, for example, Yusuf Endor has been making waves.
I agree.
Way before any Nigerian artist started making waves. Look at the Grammy, for instance. Angelique Kidjo won it how many times before Burna? So that is for you to know that there are lots of talent in all of Africa that we don't even know. Look at Ali Kiba is there. Diamond Platnumz is there. These guys are making a whole lot of noises out there. So I know it's going to be a very, very competitive category. It's going to be a very competitive category because there are lots of fresh artists. In fact, okay, let's just be Ghana here. Black Sherif is going to make a statement too. So it's going to be a very, very competitive category.
I mean, I'm really, really looking forward to that. We don't have a lot of time on our hands anymore. I apologize. Our panelists are already seated. So please, just to be sure, are all the YouTube guys down here? Everybody's down here, Abi. Okay, before I introduce the panelists, please, everybody put your hands together for yourself for staying down to this very moment and enjoying and listening to all the amazing lectures. Thank you very much. So it's time for us to introduce our panelists for the second segment. And this segment is just going to be focused on intra-industry collaborations. Earlier on, I think Olisa Adibwa mentioned it as his final points, that collaborations are very important, especially for new cats like all of us. We need to find ways to collaborate. So we have a lot of old cats sitting here, and they're going to tell us how to collaborate, who to look for, and how to go about it. So the first person on our panel for this afternoon is Tega, who is the CEO of Mavis. Please put your hands together for him. He has a background in marketing, brand partnerships, and business development. Tega Ogenejobo leads the team at Mavins Global as Chief Operating Officer. Highly motivated individual. He's innovative. He's seasoned in Africa's emerging talent industry. Tega is one of the leading figures of the new School of African Entertainment Industries Executive. Please put your hands together for this tall glass of champagne. Thank you very much, sir, for joining our panel session. The next person we have here is ID Kabasa. ID Kabasa, please join us on stage. He's known professionally as ID Kabasa he's a global multiple award-winning musician, record producer, he's a songwriter, record executive, and a creative person. Please, he's also a talent manager, someone who has groomed and produced a lot of talent, and he's right here in our front. Is this how you want to clap for old cats? This is more like it. Celebrate greatness. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Now we have another mature cat. This one is not old. A very mature cat that's going to join us here. And I'm talking about no other person than Cobhams Asuquo. Please put your hands together for him. He's a Nigerian performing artist. He's a singer, songwriter, music producer, and he has worked with a lot of African talents. Davido, Tubaba, Tiwa Savage, Joe Boy. Just name anybody that is making wave in Nigeria now. Our mature cat here has worked with them. So please put your hands together again as he's sitting down. We have another mature cat in the house. This one's mature. This problem. Please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together as I make welcome Godwin Tom, who is another mature cat in the building. Godwin has become one of Africa's music industry prolific change agents. He's currently working as the managing director of Sony Music Publishing Nigeria. He's also the founder of the Music Business Academy for Africa. Please put your hands together for my daddy. This is my daddy. Yeah. And we have the final matured cat that's joining us here. And this person is a woman of many talents, very industrious. Please clap, put your hands together as I make welcome Yemisi Falayan. She's an entertainment lawyer with over 15 years of legal experience. She currently works at Temple Company Limited and heads the legal and business development of the company. So please put your hands together for her as she makes her sit. So this panel section will be moderated by Susan from Zanuza Entertainment. So please, can we have Susan join us on stage here? Please put your hands together for Susan as Susan comes to stage. And let's enjoy this wonderful session. So again, please be reminded that this section is about the intra-industry collaboration. So please pay rapid attention. If you have notes, take your notes down. Track them after here. They can answer your questions because these people are very hard to find. So if you're seeing them now, hold them very tight. Thank you.
Hello. Hi everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon everyone. Okay, I hope you guys are having a great time. Okay, so I'm going to be standing in for our moderator, Charles. She's stuck in traffic, but she'll be joining us afterwards where I will take my leave when she comes. So it's great to have everyone on this panel. We have, like they've been saying, old cats, and we are here to draw from your wealth of knowledge. Bless us. All right, so I'm just going to go straight into it. We're talking about intra-industry collaborations. And one of the major questions that we have is, do you think that people in the music industry collaborate with one another? Because we've had, a lot of stories over time. And this question, everyone is going to answer, but I'm going to start this way from GT to, and then we keep going to Tega and we keep going. Do you think people collaborate, one? And secondly, our own general opinion of, collaboration within the industry, we think it's very, very difficult, right? Why don't people talk about these collaborations if people collaborate? So I'm going to start with GT.
I think when we talk about these things, we must manage expectations, right? Collaborations have always existed. There's been one of the biggest songs you've had in the industry by Nice Kongwaso was as a result of a collaboration between someone sitting here today, Heidi Kabasa, and Nice, right? And so the reason why we don't talk about these things enough is because we kind of pander to, for lack of a better word, to foreign definitions of what our collaborations should be. So we don't talk about the existing values that are being exchanged locally because we are looking at, this thing didn't yield Grammy. And because it didn't yield Grammy, then it means that this collaboration was not useful. So collaborations happen. But I think more importantly, collaborations only occur when value is exchanged. So one person has something of value to offer, another person has something of value to offer, they meet at a point of need, and they work together. If I'm selling fish, and the customers you have are looking for goat meat, no matter how friendly we are with each other, there's no collaboration there because it doesn't support your business to take goat meat to sell to people who don't want it. So I think when individuals focus or businesses focus on their strengths and the value that they're offering, collaboration happens. And that has been happening in the music industry for a very, very long time. We just need to stop measuring ourselves or waiting until someone in the States or the UK greets us for us to acknowledge that those things exist.
Okay, same question. Thank you very much for that. Please put your hands together.
Sure.
So I'll piggyback on what GT just said, right? So collaboration has always been happening. It's an industry that has been built off the back of so many collaborative efforts. If you look at even DJ T, that was helping people shoot music videos. Back in the day, also a DJ. If you look at producers like Don Jazzy, The Band, that from there they built a career with someone like the band, and then they also started the record label that also led to people like Wande Cole, The Prince, Dr. Seed, K-Switch, right? But speaking to difficulty in collaboration, I think one thing I've learned in my short time in the industry is people only believe they can collaborate upward, which is very wrong. That it's not always, it almost looks like you're looking for a charity case, which is not, the industry is not a charity industry. So most times you're in the DMs of very busy or very top professionals that they will hardly go out of their way trying to even stay afloat in whatever situation they are currently in at the moment to collaborate with you. So if they collaborate with you, you definitely have something super exceptional for them to leave that world of plenty to work with you. But as a young talent, be it they're a manager, be they a DJ, a producer, songwriter, what you should firstly do is peer-to-peer. So you're like, okay, I have 500 followers on Instagram. I think I have a great voice. Can I look for a producer that have 500 followers, that have 200 followers? And okay, let's start putting our head together. Oh, there's one content creator that has 1,000 followers. At least those ones reply DM. Look, I see you're growing on TikTok. Let's all work together. Now, what you're playing is, you're playing with an audience of almost 2,000 people, right? There is a small DJ that warms up for a big DJ in a big nightclub. Don't go there and be waiting for DJ Biggie and DJ Consequence, all those people. Once they come on set, they're only playing hits. So they're not going to have time to introduce new music. But that warm-up DJ that on Instagram, he has like 800, 450, will grant your audience, right? And if you have like interesting personality, interpersonal skills, you guys can start building your own force, right? And before you know it, because also just to speak on expectation management that GT said, sometimes people set like wrong expectations, right? So if you want to build anything, you want to graduate from school, it's 4 years, 5 years. If ASUNO do the one they want to do. It's the truth. You get, if you want to build a house, it will take time. You have to do foundational stuff. But I feel like most times, because of the outlier success our industry offers, a lot of people come into it and now solely depend on that outlier event. Instead of them say, okay, no, how do I build my own disciple, my own movement, so that 2, 3, 5 years from now, between 10 of us in this our collaborative or collective, one person's luck will shine quicker. But because we're together and we believe in ourselves, and we've started the relationship with the spirit of collaboration. See, some people will not pick your call again because they've signed them to one big record label, they're in their abroad, but that true intention will still continue to live, and you can find opportunities building like that. So my advice to people is that don't go around saying, oh, it's difficult to collaborate. Try and collaborate within your peer, within your creed, and before you know it, something will happen for hard work. You know?
Okay. I mean, we've heard that manage your expectations, and of course, peer-to-peer collaborations work as well. Please.
Okay. By the way, I'm not a cat. I think I'm a lion. So.
Oshay is a lion. Okay, I think. Yeah, I mean, the lion is here. Odogu decided to speak, and then, you know, even the power here could not take it. Okay, do we wait or?
Okay. Please don't stress ID Kabasa.
Ah, that's true.
Let's
Check.
wait. Always without.
Okay, yeah, Maham. So collaboration, I actually love what GT started with and what the place Tigger actually took it from. Let me talk more on ideas, collaboration with ideas, in terms of ideas. See, to have a hold on your idea is safe, but you will remain small. To have hold on it means that it is very safe. It's not a risky place.
I hope you're writing.
You will be very safe. Nobody is trying to drag anything with you, but you will remain small. It's like me, and anything you can hold in your fist, you know that thing is small. For you to carry anything big, you need to open your fist. And for me, when it gets to the place of, like Godwin rightly said, whatever we were able to create from Olamide, Nice, and all of them was a form of collaboration. I can't sing, but they can sing. But me, I can make beats and I can create stuff. So there is a need to create a community to do that. And beyond just that, also collaboration within your ecosystem, that people that do the same thing that you do, that one requires humility. I've known Cobhams for how many years now? Up to like 2 decades. So this guy has been I can say one of my closest friends in the industry. Because I feel safe. Because a lot of us come to the table with our ego, and ego is camouflaged insecurity. When you are insecure, you are scared of opening up about your idea, and you are like saying, people are going to use me. They will use you because you are useful. If you are not useful, if you are not useful, they won't use you. From Asha's day, Cobhams will open up his file. I will listen. I will marvel. And
actually, when I first recorded the Adaba, I brought it to his house.
My house.
We played it overnight. First time.
And anything you heard from Nice, this guy must hear it before you hear it. Because at the end of the day, man was never created to be alone. Even Bible talk am. You were created to be in a community. You are created to be in amongst people. When you try to hold on to your idea, most times you become invisible because people will not see you. You get so egocentric that you feel there is something special about that idea. But when you open it up, in fact, check some of the genres that has died in Nigeria. There are genres that the creators are saying, don't add anything to. Don't do anything you want to see grow. You have to let go of control. But if you want to have control, just remember that the day you die, that's the day that idea will die. So for collaboration, I would say, instead of you to compete in your industry, collaborate more so that you know will go compete with your destiny helper.
That's very, very profound. All right, so I'll just quickly move forward because I know we still have like a couple of questions to go. So, Cobhams, what's your take on this?
Okay, very quickly. So I think a lot has been said, and just to avoid information overload, I think there's very pertinent, very key things that Godwin, Tom, Tega, Idi Kabasa have said concerning collaborations. I think, so to answer your question directly, do people collaborate? Is there intra-industry collaboration? I think music in itself is designed to encourage industry collaboration. The collaborations between producers, songwriters, performing artists, by A&Rs, just by design. You know what I mean? If we look at outside of this space, a lot of us like the Space Jam soundtrack, Monica, I will cross the ocean for you. A lot of us like Because You Love Me, Celine Dion. A lot of us like I Don't Want to Close My Eyes, Aerosmith. A lot of us like Have You Ever Loved Somebody So Much, Brandy, and these songs, great as they are, we see the front.
This is a Gen Z crowd.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
Old cats.
Okay. No, that's fine. So that helps. Okay, that helps. So a lot of us like Rush, Ira Star. A lot of us like Imemoto. A lot of us like, But the point I'm trying to make with all these examples is there are certain people who they work behind the scenes, and a lot of the times, a lot of the big songs. So, for instance, I know that there's a young guy that I've been, doing some work with. He's an absolutely amazing guy called Majid. And, the interesting thing with Majid is, he's got credits on some of the biggest songs, whether it's, from Kiss Daniel to Tiwa Savage, all kinds of people. This guy's constantly writing and constantly making music. And he's now making music for his own self. So the reason I mention this is to say that music itself by design is built on collaborations. But I think what's even more important to mention at this point is not just the collaborations between artists and producers and A&Rs and all of that, but also the collaborations between or among very key stakeholders. So whether record labels or the sorts, because oftentimes there is the perceived idea of competition. But you have to keep in mind that for an industry like ours that is nascent, that is still growing, there's a lot around policy formulation. There's a lot around, corporate governance. There's a lot around some of the things that decide how we should function as an industry. And what it does is it forces even competitors to come together to collaborate, because these laws must favor everybody. Do you understand? So I'm just saying that to say, in addition to answering your question, that yes, music is built on collaboration. Taking it a step further, collaboration is necessary even among quote-unquote perceived competitors. So whether they be big labels or whether they be music distributors or whoever, because at the end of the day, that's how you're able to create a standard, based on which everybody sort of operates, so that it's humane, so that it's sustainable. So it's collaborations among the key players that's going to ensure this.
Thank you so much for that. All right.
I don't know if there's anything else to say. My elders have spoken. It's a taboo to speak after elders. But, just one or two sentences. I always say that talent is raw. Collaborative efforts refines it. And once you have refined a talent, then you turn it into a commercially viable product. And once that is done, everybody breaks bread, and the world becomes a better place.
All right. Thank you so much for that. So, based on what everyone has said, it's obvious that, collaborations do happen, in as much as it's sometimes we don't hear about these things. My next question is for Tega and for GT. Why do people find it extremely difficult to also state, okay, I'm collaborating with you, right? What do I get to, benefit from? Is that people shy away from either money conversations, rights, conversations. What do I, if we collaborate on this, right? What do we both get to benefit? It's like, it's very difficult for people to explain that explicitly. So why do you think that happens? And what do you think people can do to navigate, these conversations?
I think sometimes my honesty is that we put so much pressure on our industry and we'll forget that it's very young, right? So sometimes what you don't know, some people will not kill you, but sometimes it will kill you. So education is the first step. So you're going into something. If you don't know what it fully entails, you're going to go into that thing with a certain level of ignorance or just being naive because you don't know, right? So you are meant to pay school fees. And when I mean school fees, sometimes school fees is your experience. So you are meant to do things, and when you do those things, you'll find out that, okay, this thing that I did, I don't have to repeat it again. So a lot of people that are teaching us to do, they are teaching us from their wealth of experience. So I always tell people that if you are new to something, go in with the beginner's mindset. If you are riding a bicycle, you're not expected to fall. You're going to fall. So if you go into music business and you don't have guidance, you don't have mentors, you don't have people that are going to help you, it's anticipated that you're going to make some mistakes. Now, that will be your own path. Not everybody's path is the same. Some people are going into music business off the back of a famous uncle that is a producer, off the back of an auntie that is a manager, off the back of an in-law that owns a law firm. So their own path into gaining an experience is different from yours. But in my own mantra of believing that progression over perfection is that when you see an opportunity that you hope and you have that instinct that's going to benefit you, and you've checked everywhere, you researched online, you've watched videos, you've spoken to people, don't say because you don't know how it's going to pan out, don't make you take that first step. Take the first step and say, okay, now, well, they don't bite me for this one shot. Once beaten, twice shy. You're not going to repeat yourself again. But say because you don't know it fully. If them Jazzy or Kobe, all these people did not make moves, the industry then and now is not the same thing. But again, like I said, sometimes I see some tweets on it and I'm like, oh, people forget that this industry is still growing and there are some mistakes we have to make. But we're happy for platforms like this that are bringing people that have a lot of experience to share. So if you come to forums like this or podcasts or things online, try and comment in the comment section if you have questions. Because again, certain experts are watching those podcasts on YouTube or on Twitter, they're reacting to it, and they can just see your question and have spare time on their hands and respond to you. So I would say, read, query, ask, seek help. But if you try all these things, you didn't complete, don't worry. Please proceed. You will learn from your own experience. You get, so that's my own advice.
All right.
I think fear is a major factor, and fear from things that people hear, people see. I remember being in a room once, and a producer and an artist were talking, and the producer said to the artist that we need to discuss splits. and the artist froze. Right? And the artist froze because he felt like, you want to now take advantage of me, you want to give me paper to sign. So I said to the producer, where's your manager? I said, his manager is outside. I said to the artist, where's your manager? I said, my manager is on his way. I said, don't worry, work. When your managers call me, I will talk to them, right? I think a lot of things are based on fear. And it's fear based on a lack of information. So nobody is guiding people. Nobody is saying there's nothing wrong with this conversation. It's not a bad thing for you guys to know what you want to do. Even with big artists. I remember talking to an artist and I said to him, why don't you want to sign a split sheet? He said, but I'm the big artist. And I said, I hear you. But you see, the problem here is that... I said the problem here is that if this song pops tomorrow, right? And this artist becomes bigger, you can't even negotiate a better deal than you can today, right? So it's actually in your interest to have that conversation now and possibly leverage your status as a bigger artist to get a good deal for yourself. So it's really fear. Fear comes from a lack of understanding. If I don't, there are places where they think that if you eat snake, you will die. There are also places where they think that if your egg runs, it means that you have not cooked it well. But there are people that eat it like that. If you don't understand what it is, your first reaction to something is to reject it. So that's part of the reason why people don't really want to talk about it. But also we have a show-off culture, right? So because we have a show-off culture, our general, disposition is to say Nami Duam, right? And when you want to say Nami Duam, if I now add somebody to it, it reduces the value of my Nami Duam in the statement, right? So I say, oh, Nami write this song. You say, nah, but no be only you, right? But what people fail to understand is by acknowledging that you wrote something with someone else makes it normal. When the conversation continues to happen that, oh, 6 people wrote on a song, it stops becoming a problem. But as long as we continue to have this mindset of, I have to be the main guy in the picture, we're going to continue losing opportunities for better collaborations. I know many writers that I've tried to put in rooms and they're like, I can't work with that guy because that guy he likes to cheat people. He doesn't like to acknowledge people. And the people I was trying to put them in a room with, at the time they met the guy refusing to acknowledge, were smaller. Now they are bigger. And because of their experience with that person, they don't want to work with that person anymore. So you might be in a good place now, but some people I know my students, I always tell them, after MBA for Africa, you become my colleagues. And they keep arguing with me. But in the last 2 years, I've sat in different meetings where my students are sitting on the other side and arguing with me. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the issue isn't that the focus instead is the respect and acknowledgement that comes from all of us developing ourselves and being able to offer value is how we all stop being afraid of saying, I collaborated with this guy, I worked with this guy, or I walk into a room and it's like, look, let's do the music. When we finish, we're going to discuss the splits and ensure that it is fair for everybody so we can all benefit. Let's not mention names. We know songs that were global, even before Wizkid's song, were global and nobody benefited from it because everybody was fighting over Nami Getam.
Please let's put our hands together for that. Don't be afraid. When those conversations come up and you're talking about split sheets, do not be afraid. So before we go into because I have 2 more questions for the remaining 3, and then our moderator is finally around. So she'll be coming on stage afterwards. My next question is for both ID Kabasa and Cobhams. What are the key factors to consider when you're considering collaborations? Because you guys have collaborated a lot, right? And you've spoken about that even in the first question that we asked.
Okay, so some of the factors to consider when you're collaborating. I think one of the first things I want to say is get your ego out the door, just like ID Kabasa said. You need to be in a place where you allow for some measure of vulnerability. I think the collaboration is usually stronger when among yourselves you are vulnerable enough to share. And this is not, so there's a difference between being vulnerability and being vulnerable and being downright stupid. You want to apply sense. You want to sort of manage, how you position yourself, but you want to be vulnerable enough to be able to share what you know and to be able to receive what you don't. And I think being able to function in that space will help you get a lot of value. That's one thing that comes to mind.
So I think I should pick it from where Cobham stopped, and that is value. One of the major things I look out for, and also to play the streets boy. I want to work with my friend, and when I say friend here, still buttressing what Cobham said about vulnerability, I want to work with someone that I know I can actually be free with. I don't want a situation that I am showing you, definitely if I'm going to collaborate with you, I'm going to celebrate a lot of my ignorance. I don't want somebody that I will show my ignorance and will want to use it against me. That one, you keep it by the side. Then secondly, to play safe. In fact, funny enough, Godwin is in this room. You were the first person that, you remember with Fola's program 1 year like that you mentioned the issue of lawyers. I think when you have a lawyer as a creator, you are safe because you don't now go into the room just as friends, like I rightly mentioned. You go into the room more like, how I go put them, enemies. So I sign contract like sworn enemies and we work as best of friends. Signing contracts means that if I'm going to collaborate with you because I see a value in you, I think it's actually ignorance when people get scared now that they might not make. I prefer to get 1% of $10 million than to get the whole 1 million naira. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when I know if I do it alone, I'm going to just get $1 million naira. But if I do it with Cobhams, and by the way, when I collaborate with Cobhams, I'm actually stealing from Cobhams, and Cobhams is stealing from me. Because Cobhams has people that love team, no, we call them FCs now. Cobhams FC. We want to listen to the song. Adi Kabasa FC, we want to listen to the song. So if Adi Kabasa is coming to the table, value of 50,000. Cobhams is coming to the table, value 50,000. Definitely whatever I'm going to make. And when those two come together, those that are outside that particular ecosystem, they are curious to what is really happening, that this total number are actually going after these two guys. So there is a tendency that we have more coming. So I look out for value, and so that we will not get into story that touches. We will sign contract like sworn enemies, but we will work as best of friends. Value as friends, but when it gets to the business, I heard it from you, funny enough. Get a lawyer and make sure you are signing as worst enemies. Negotiate. Don't come to the table with, there's also this mindset of 50-50 is okay. It's not okay. 50-50 is a fraud. If I am bringing so much to the table and the other guy is bringing less, so it is better we discuss it. There are a whole lot of things that you have heard that, okay, Shebi is my friend, we'll get into the room. All those, my publishing is 50-50, Abi. When you get to split, we'll do it 50-50. The day the stuff blow, there are some salient stuff that are underneath that they don't get to tell you. Tega mentioned ignorance the other time. Ignorance is not the absence of knowledge. It's knowledge ignored. The knowledge is there, but you have just been ignoring it. By the time the song blew, that is when you will start to hear story of, I was the one that gave them that line. I was the one that gave them that kick. When they were singing this, I've heard stories. So to avoid all of those stories, I think you should sign contract like sworn enemies. Then both of you should work as best of friends. Then let go of the ego, like you said.
Yeah, just to add to that real quick. Give him his applause, please, if you're going to do it. Yes. Just to add to that, because I think it's important to mention, one of the things to also look out for when collaborating, two things that come to mind. One of them is keep posterity in mind, keep the future in mind. You're collaborating because it's an opportunity to create something that can affect and influence the future. So you're not just doing it based on we just got together, let's just do it now. You're setting the standard for other people. You know, when you come together and you collaborate, whether you're writing songs and someone is singing it, or whether you're, you know, having conversations that influence laws or influence policies, whatever it is you're doing, you're building the precedence for how the people after you will do it. So that means that in doing it, you want to make sure that all of it is clean from top to bottom. It's like if you buy a new car, you don't open the hood of your new car and look under it and the engine is dirty. You know, the engine is just as clean as the parts of the car that attracted you to the car. So when you collaborate, always keep posterity in mind. Always keep, you know, in view the fact that you want history to judge you rightly when you think of it. So yeah, that's another bit to add.
All right. I mean, off what Adi Kabasa has said about the legal aspect of things, I mean, we're moving straight to our lawyer, yeah, our boss. Yeah, so what are the legal contractual considerations when it comes to intra-industry collaborations? Like he has said as well, in terms of how do we also balance, you know, what percentage should this person go with and what should that person go with as well. So this is like 2 in 1. So what are the legal considerations, and then what are the, you know, how do you negotiate who should go with what? But before you answer that question, I would like to invite on stage Shawls to take over the moderation panel. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. So good to be here. I'm so sorry. I almost killed my mother in the car trying to get here. I think you'll all have to go home with me and apologize to her because the car couldn't move fast enough for me to get here. But I'm here now and I'm really interested in this conversation. It's nice to see you. I must say I like the setup this year. I think we have trumped it this year. Make music for life, man. Yeah, yeah. Hi, Godwin. Hi, Adi Kabasa Tega. Cobams, Ekasa, sir. How are you, sir? No, Auntie Shaw, sir. What's wrong with you? Now, don't spoil my market. What's wrong with you? And Yemi, nice to have you here as well. So I kind of don't know where she's been with the questions, but I'm just going to lead, you know. I'm going to start with you, Godwin, because the conversations, you crack tables and big tables anyhow. Yes, you do. Don't even try to be giving me, yes, you. I know you do. So I heard the conversation about how difficult and why we're not doing enough collaborations in the music industry. As a radio presenter for many years, I often wondered, you know, out of town, there's a lot of successful stories that you can talk about. But when you bring it back home, it's like, no, I'm not doing this one, no, this one, when I know this one will not pay me, no, that's how I did video for this one did not pay me. There's a lot of backbiting. But maybe what I should do before I come to you is let you answer the question that Susan asked before she left the stage, and then we'll start to roll with it.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So one thing that I didn't say the first time I spoke was when I was talking about talents being raw, collaboration refines it, and once it's refined, you can sell and then you can make money. The point that I missed out is the fact that before you start to refine it, you have to ensure that, you know, all legal obligations are put in place so that when the bread comes, you know how to share. There is no fight, and at the end of the day, if you fight, you throw the bread in Third Milan Bridge, and you know, nobody gets to, you know, break anything or have exactly. So you have a song, for instance. Adi Kabasa said he can't sing, but he can make beats. Someone else can write, but cannot sing as much, or not popular enough to push the song. But there is an old cat, there is a new cat.
Meow, meow.
All the cats.
Meow.
all the cats. all the cats can sing, they can perform because they are performing artists. Some of the cats cannot write, but can perform. So you get a songwriter, you get a producer to make the beats, and you have the performing artist that is supposed to be the face of the song. as soon as you have selected this team, your lawyer needs to know, or your manager needs to know. Before the song drops, obviously certain agreements have to be in place, just so that the song will breathe and go as far as it ought to go. And everybody that has contributed to cooking the song will be properly compensated. Obviously, you have to have the following agreements: the songwriter agreements. That's if the performer didn't write the song. You ensure that there's a songwriter agreement with the performing artist. After which, you do another agreement with ID Kabasa, the producer agreement. If there's a featured artist, if you're not carrying the song alone, if you're featuring another artist, obviously there's going to have to be a featured artist agreement. So in all of these agreements, you must properly brief your lawyer as to how far each person contributed to the cooking of the song. If you have the producer as the songwriter, you obviously know that the producer will have a larger chunk of the percentage or the ownership of the song. Bearing in mind that the fact that you're the performing artist doesn't mean that you should have the largest chunk, because perhaps all you're doing is to perform the song. A producer might have written the song and have carried more weight in preparing the song. Therefore, it's just okay. It's not even just okay. It's just right that the producer is properly compensated. There are so many factors, to be considered when determining how to share the song, how to, the splits and all. Me, for instance, depending on who I'm representing, if I'm representing the performing artist that owns the project, for instance, I will consider how much I have given the producer. I would consider the sort of producer that, the status of the producer. What I would offer an ID Kabasa will be different from what I will offer an upcoming ID Kabasa. Do you see what I mean? Some producers will insist on getting a percentage from sales. If I see that you are worth it, in quotes, you get it. If you've worked for it, in cooking the song, you will get it. Songwriters as well. Some songwriters want to be a ghostwriter. They don't want to be known, which is fine. Some performing artists will also want the writer to be ghosts, which is also fine. If I'm representing a songwriter, if you want me to be ghost, you pay more. So, these are all the factors that you need to consider. If I'm representing the performing artists, if you want, I'm preparing a songwriter agreement, or we're trying to determine what should go to the songwriter. If you want to be known as the songwriter, I'll perhaps pay you less, and then, I'll perhaps pay you less. But if you want to be ghosts, negotiate your terms, and we all agree. Without all of this being done, it will be difficult to let the song breathe, like I said, just like our president wants the poor to breathe. So in order to allow a song breathe, you have to carry everybody along. You have to sign all agreements. Everybody, nobody should come from somewhere and say, you're cheating me. Although it is fine, because if you don't do the proper thing, there's no way I will be, but that was a joke. It's just okay. Sign all agreements, ensure things are properly done so that the song can breathe and everybody can break bread through the song.
In other words, do the right thing.
Charles, can I interrupt you just one quick second?
Yes.
I wanted to mention something to, by way of a conversation, I wanted to mention something to Yemisi, because she talked a lot about, and Yemisi is my on and off lawyer. It was very interesting. We have a very interesting legal living lover relationship. So, but I love her and she loves me, and that's okay. So having said that, I wanted to mention something. You talked about ghostwriters. So I kind of just wanted you to clarify a little bit the difference between being a ghostwriter and giving up your moral rights, because there's just a fear of some people in this room who I think, okay, I'm a ghostwriter, and so you go and you ghostwrite for everybody up and down, and you know, I think your moral rights is basic. No, you make money, you make quite a bit of money, but there's something about, you know, just sort of retaining the rights to having been the person who did this thing, even if it's not put out there in public, if you don't want it to be, but being able to sort of control that right so that you're not dealing with maybe a dubious lawyer or somebody somewhere who sort of collects your moral rights from, because that's the conversation around moral rights is something I think we don't have a lot in Nigeria. But you're a lawyer and I think you can speak to it directly. So I just wanted you to sort of clarify the difference between being a ghostwriter and retaining your moral rights, and not finding yourself in a position where, because you're becoming a ghostwriter, you're giving up your moral rights altogether. Unless I'm wrong, maybe people give up their moral rights as their ghostwriters. But you're a lawyer, so just help us out with that.
So, you don't need to... Wow, so does it mean people haven't been hearing what's up? Oh, that was a joke, by the way. So the fact that you've decided to be a ghostwriter, or you've agreed to be a ghostwriter, doesn't necessarily mean that you've given up your moral rights, and doesn't also mean that you don't deserve to get what you own, not even what you deserve, what you own in the song. It just means that you won't publicly be identified as a songwriter. And I must say that you also have a right to refuse to be a ghostwriter. If you want to be publicly known as the writer, then by all means, you negotiate that. Everything is just, there's no hard and fast rule to all of these things. Everything is based on negotiation. Everything is based on what you want. Everything is based on what you think will add value to you. Some people are after money. They are not after anything else.
Thank you. I'm glad you cleared up that ghostwriter. And Cobhams, thank you for that follow-up question, because I think we get it wrong. You're thinking ghostwriter. Some people want to be recognized for the work that they've done. Writing a song is not always easy. So for you newbies, or I don't want to use some terms here, but pay attention. You'll learn a lot from this panel. Tega, I'm going to come to you. So, Mavin, I mean, we all live and breathe Mavin. There's a story behind Mavin. So many stories, we can walk through the beginning of Mavins, from where it developed all the way to get into Mavins. And that's like a movie on its own. And when you do it, make sure you give me props for coming up with the idea. So tell me, so tell me, from where you are sitting and where you are, what you do, what would you say to anyone in here, in this room right now, who wants to start off on this journey that is at some point going to involve all five of you? What would you say to them from where you are coming from? What do you bring to the table from your seat at the table where you are?
Thank you. And sadly, let me apologize before I leave, because I have to rush on that situation. But what I would say is you need to have a vision. You see, what I like about of course, Don Jazzy and I were cousins, but what I like about our relationship is he's very clear about his vision. I meet very few people, and a lot of people, they're excited, they're scattered. They'll be telling you, Jazzy will tell you something very clear. And me, I consider myself an operational person. So if you tell me you want to open a restaurant, I'll say, okay, are we buying a land? Are we leasing? Are we tearing down an old building? I'll start asking you all the process-oriented questions, just so that you are even reassured that you want to really do this thing, because
he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, because time is priceless. If it's lost, you can't get it back. So I feel most times in our industry, like I think Koba mentioned earlier, there are key players, right? So there's a distributor, there's a label, there's a publisher, there's a lawyer. With each and every one of these people, you want to go with a sound and solid vision. So that when all these people, just like building a house, if the bricklayer don't know that I'm not supposed to put this one here, you wake up tomorrow, it's bathroom that is there. So like she said, if you know your leverage, if you know where you are standing, when you go to your lawyer, like, okay, I'm honest in myself that I'm a young producer and I'm working with this big artist, but I have this vision that I want to be known for my work. That's a different type of thing than, oh, I just want to use my skills to make money and pay my bills. I don't have a vision of putting out a producer album later. So if you forego, like she said, if you know that you want to be known, in that instance, you say, pay me now or pay me small, so that I will get the visibility. Tomorrow, I can open a label. Tomorrow, I can do a producer EP, and that EP I'm doing is off my cloud that I'm the one that produced this other hit song. So I always tell people that, and that's what really excites me when I meet new people, be you a label executive, be you even a distributor. If you come and tell me that, oh, Tiger, we're launching in Africa, I'm like, okay, what's your vision for Africa? Like, because it's one thing to launch, but what are you launching for? Are you coming to sign young talents, young businesses with sizable advances? Are you coming on a zero-sum game? Are you coming on a free upload, I won't charge you? Because you're a distributor, but it's not the same. So even you that are about to make a distribution deal decision, I have to ask the distributor as well that, what's your vision for Africa? What's your vision for someone like my craft? Even as you're making a publisher decision as well, what kind of rooms can you put me in? Now that you've seen me, what's your vision for me? And most times, if I use Maven as an example of what has allowed us to sort of navigate some of the turbulences that we've gone through as a company, is I use Jazim and myself and the rest of our founding members and team now is we now have what I call a shared vision. So once people have a shared vision,
so everybody's aligned.
Yeah, everybody's aligned. So it's easier for you to say, okay, I know that if I turn my 9 o'clock, you're doing this. If I turn my 12 o'clock, you're doing this. I know that if come this, come that, you'll be doing this. So it starts with a vision. You start preaching it. You start sharing it. Those that buy into it, once they buy into you now have a holistic shared vision, and that's what has brought us this far.
So everybody gets on board, and it makes the conversations easier. I know you have to go, so I'm going to kind of let you go, even though I'm not really ready to, but thank you for being here. Please, before you go, a round of applause for him, please. Come on, you can do better than that. Thank you. Put your hands together. We need some whoop-whoops as well. Thank you, thank you. Yes. Can you all kind of like move towards me? Okay, yeah, you can just, okay. Yeah, we don't like you at the end. I want you near. Okay, great stuff. ID Kabasa. Let me just behave myself on this panel today. I think of a few songs, and then it's synonymous with ID Kabasa. And it may be a story that people don't know or don't want to hear about, or it's a sour conversation, but every time I think of, you know, and I think it was your input, it was a song called Capable. What are you capable of? Can you remember how you flipped that song? And that's why your name, from way back then, has been stuck in my head. And I've been following, you know, the stuff that you do. I find that in this industry, we celebrate the ones that we think are the in guys. You know what I mean? The guys who are there now. We don't kind of go back to bring them forward and to also remind ourselves of why they did what they did back then and why they can still do it now, because people then don't think that, oh, I want to do a song. I'm not about back. I know the go at the capacity, now old, you know.
Cats.
Yes, yes, yes. That's that cat again. That's that cat again. What do you want to say to, I mean, because it's all about them, not really about us. We want to impart this knowledge to them. When they decide that, okay, I have a song, they've done, maybe they wrote a few bars, or, you know, they've gone somewhere and bought a song, or someone has written a song for them. By the time they get to you, or they decide that, look, I need like an ID Kabasa, what is the first thing that you say to them? What is the conversation? What is the first thing that you say to them? Like, you know, to take them through the journey.
Okay, thank you. Like you right, look, I can actually use the Banky song. That song was already created. The song was out. I think it was a reggae song or something like that when Banky brought it. So for me, I think what you should consider first is you should not hire somebody that you want to control. If you're an artist.
Creativity needs to flow, yeah.
Don't hire somebody. It's like me going to the doctor and telling the doctor that I have malaria. since I can diagnose myself, why do I have to go to the doctor? I can just as well. So there is a need for you as an artist when you get into the room, like I mentioned earlier, to let go of control. If I trust, like for me, I trust Godwin Tom, that this guy is a music exec that I've known for a very long time. He has done this, he has done that. And I'm coming to the table not as an ignorant artist, so I should be able to also open up to the fact that, look, I'm not coming to the table with, this is what I want. Because most times what you want is in your head. But when we are talking collaboration now, what we need to go out might be different people feeling, like for me now, I really mix my song. You know the person I work with, Cobams, I work with Foster Zeno to mix for me. Not that I don't know how to mix, but I just feel that, okay, this guy too has a very good hair and he can do that. So for an artist, you are coming into the studio to work with a producer. Have it at the back of your mind that the guy is going to disrupt your creative flow. So I'm looking out for somebody that is ready for that. Let me give you examples. For Nice, I can tell you that for most of his melodies, I create them. You remember now?
We remember.
I create most of those melodies. Same thing for Olamide. Olamide was not a singer when we did Omotoshan. It was almost like writing a rap and I'm putting melodies to all of those things. So it takes a lot of, let me use the word, being secured to know that this other guy that I'm working with too has value that I can add, for them to trust me, to say, okay, let's go this way and that way. And on the side of the producer too, a whole lot of my clan member, my fellow producers, we can also be very stubborn. When somebody has an idea in their head, they are the first person that conceived the idea. So they have something that they are feeling. There is an energy, we call it vibe, that they are feeling. Your job really is not to change the vibe. Your job is actually to bring that vibe to life. So you are also supposed to be humble enough to understand the person. And this has to do a lot with the ability to listen, not just to hear them out. Listening and hearing people out are two different things. I can hear you out and already I have a decision in my heart that I'm sticking to. But to listen to you means that I am paying attention to the information you are giving out. I am repeating it that, okay, you mean the kick that you are hearing in your mind is going this way, the snare. Okay, which song did you listen to that gave birth to it? Because at the end of the day, creativity is not anything abstract. It's us. It's you actually hiding your source. It's the ability to hide your source where you are stealing from. So you are telling me...
Say that again. Say that again.
Creativity is not you creating something entirely new or out of the world. It's you hiding your source where you are stealing from.
Wow.
So...
Yeah, that deserves a round of applause right there. So it does, it really does.
If I can get where you are coming from, like I hear a song now, I can definitely know that, okay, this is where this guy is coming from. This is what he's feeling. It helps the two of us. So at the end of the day, I'm looking for that energy, and I'm also looking for not humility. I would rather use meekness. Because if you are poor, you'll be humble. If you don't know something, you'll be humble. But I want a meek guy that is powerful, that is coming into the room. Cobams is coming into the room. Cobams is a wizard on the piano and on the guitar. And
Yes,
Cobams is listening to.
yes.
Cobams is telling Kabasa, those days, we will bring songs and we'll start rehearsing. It's not that, you understand, it's you coming to the room and you know so much, but you choose to listen. So for me,
I would
that
leave
is
my
meekness.
house and come to his house and
Yeah,
just stay overnight.
this guy
and we would
knows
play
every angle in my house.
and we would play throughout till the next morning. Then I'll go, and maybe the next night we'll come back again. The same thing.
So that was what we were doing then. So there is that part of you. Actually, we keep talking about ego. Your ego cannot come to the table.
You have to leave it at home.
Yeah, leave it at home. Just drop that cap at home. Come into the room. Trust God for that guy to create something that is great. And I think that is how it works.
Thank you, Aidi Kubasa. Godwin, I'm coming to you next. Song publishing. There's a lot of gray areas with song publishing. I'm a newbie. I come to you, and then you start talking to me about, what about song publishing or whatever, and I'm looking at you like, what is this guy talking about? What would you say to me?
I'd say that, first of all, I don't know anything. But more importantly, I would say that, let's use an example. So there are 4 panelists minus the moderator, yeah? So let's look at which they rightfully are, actually. So let's look at Cobhams and ID Kabasa. So from Cobhams, that's Mr. A. My students know this. So from Cobhams, that's Mr. A. ID Kabasa is Mr. B. Yemisi is Miss C. And Mr. D. Now, Mr. A and B, Cobhams and ID, are, so in music, in copyright, there's what we call composition, right? This is what creates the music. This is the creation, rather, of the music. And then we have the sound recording, which is what is created as a result of the composition. So Cobhams and ID Kabasa are the creators. They are the composers. So Cobhams is the writer. ID Kabasa is the guy who creates the rhythm or makes the beat. Because sometimes producers aren't necessarily the people that make the beats. Those are 2 different things, right? So they are both creators. Now, Yemisi is our artist. Yeah? Right? And
maybe she needs to bust a few tunes for us right now.
And then for some strange reasons, I own the label, for some strange reasons. Now, we both are the ones who sit on the sound recording. And they both sit on the composition. Now, what happens is, Yemisi cannot write this song, and I cannot pay for the studio session for us to write this song, for us to create this new version, this sound recording, if Cobhams and ID Kabasa does not give us the license to do so, right? So essentially what publishing is the core purpose of publishing is to give out license for the creation of sound recording. Now, the person that gives you the license has certain rights. The rights to create copies of that song, which is what you sell on Apple Music and iTunes and all these other platforms. They're also given the rights to performance, which means anytime the song is played in a venue like this, or at a church, or at a bank, or at a concert, ID Kabasa and Cobhams make money. They get paid. So essentially, the idea behind publishing
now we know. Can we highlight that information?
So essentially, the idea behind publishing is to protect the interests of the rights owner. Now, it's very important that you know that all 4 people can be one person. I'll give you an example. How many of you know a young man named Maestro? Okay. Inyanya released a song called Type of Woman a few years ago, right? I can't sing it because I'll sound horrible,
no,
so I will not sing it.
Don't. I'm begging, I'm pleading here.
So Type of Woman was a song that Inyanya sang, performed, fantastic performance, but it was 100% written and produced by Maestro. So Maestro is now 2 people, right? Inyanya is 1 person, Ubi Franklin is the record label owner. Now 3 people have made money from that. But if Maestro had decided that he was going to release the song himself, as he did with his album, Maestro would have made money as the writer, the producer or beat maker, the performing artist, and the owner of his own label because he paid for his own studio sessions. So that's really how publishing works. So our job in the midst of all of this is to protect the interest of the 2 people sitting in front.
Did you get that? I always, I get a lot of questions. People will say, all this, you have to pay so many people to blow. That's why I brought up that question. So it's not a matter of getting to blowing. Before you get to blow and stay blown, you need to go through this process to stay there.
I'm sorry, I just want to add something which is important to what you just said now is the only way, and the reason why I gave that example, including everybody here, is if you do not know where you sit in this list, you will continue fighting everybody that comes to talk to you because you think they're trying to take advantage of you. So there's a reason why Neo was already rich before he released his first album, because Neo was a writer. There's a reason why every time we remember Whitney Houston and perform, and they play the song in Exhale, Inhale, Dolly Parton makes money. There's a reason why people can live a life without being in the limelight and own homes and buy properties and live quietly. It's because they understand where they play and they're clear about their abilities to contribute to the grand scheme of things in the system or the ecosystem.
I remember listening to Dolly Parton, and she said that she herself has forgotten that she did the song "I Will Always Love You" because everybody thinks it's Whitney's song now. But she gets paid every time. She gets paid
a lot of money.
Yeah, man, plenty of money. Yemisi, and forgive me, I have a knack of shortening people's names. It's a bad habit. Let me just own myself right now. So I know that a lot of artists get into fights. You know, you have fights that don't make sense. You know, this person is suing this person. This person was, when we signed you up, we were supposed to do 3 albums, 4 albums. You've done 2 albums, and you realize that this label, I cannot blow here. I want to go and blow in another label, you know. And the young artists coming up now, sometimes it's pointless having a conversation about go this route because they don't want to. How important is it for them to understand that it may not be the now for you, but it will surely come back and bite you over something that, because we all read the comments, you read the contracts, terms and you just sign it and just go. What is the importance of coming to you and going through diligently, no matter how little you are, you know, if you haven't blown by then, not talk of when you're on your way to blowing. How important is that conversation?
It's as important as your breath. I mean, I always say to talents, once you have decided to monetize your talent, once you've decided to commercialize your talent, you need to get a lawyer. That's the first person you need to talk to. And then you and your lawyer will structure how to monetize, how to birth your talent, and how to monetize it. If you don't do that, you will get into trouble one day, no matter how long it will take. You will get into trouble one day.
Let me also very quickly, it's a double-edged conversation. I want to talk about covers, samples, originals, interpolation. That's like a big thing. You know, I'm listening to a song, I can hear something from Biggie, I can hear something from Tupac, I can hear something from Neo. What are the conversations that need to happen for an artist to be able to do that? Because they think that, oh, nobody knows me, I'll fly under the radar. But someday, they'll become this, you know, mega superstar, and then it comes back for them. Can you explain why that is so important, that they clear it? Because if you don't know the song, other people who do, such as you, will be able to guide them.
You've mentioned the most important. There's a word you mentioned, which is clear. Before you publish anyone's song, after you sampled it, you need to clear. Don't take it for granted. Don't think, like she said, because it is Whitney Houston, she's dead. She can see me from heaven, she can hear me from heaven or hell, wherever she is, but she can't do anything anymore. That's a huge mistake. Whitney Houston, obviously, definitely has an estate that is monitoring everything that has to do with her song worldwide. Recently, one of my colleagues reached out to me about how a prominent producer has sampled another A-list artist's song and put it out, on DSPs. And the record label that this prominent artist is signed to or has a partnership with actually pulled down the song on all platforms. And then they started to run helter-skelter, messy, embarrassing, you're losing money. If you had done things properly, clear properly, if you have to pay, for clearance, you can pay, some will make you pay, some just permission, some will, have you...
Yeah, Missy, I'm about to drop an offering on this matter that you're talking about, but keep talking.
Anyway, so bottom line, clear the song, ensure that you get your lawyer to assist in the clearance process, sign your agreement before you release or before you publish whatever it is you have sampled.
Thank you, Yemisi. Okay, Mr. Cobhams. I call him he's my Q. He's my Nigerian Q for many reasons. because it's not easy to be a Cobhams. So enough respect to you. I will always, always doff my hat to you. So when it comes to producing, and I know, I mean, Idi Kabasa, you produce as well. I kind of feel that he has a vibe and you have a vibe. There's a different vibe when you produce. You know, I can listen to a song from Cobhams and I can almost at the back of my head say, I'm sure this has Cobhams written all over it. How important is it as a producer to have a signature sound that the audience can connect to, and artists who are trying to start in the business can sort of say, okay, I like Idi Kabasa's vibe. I think when I do my song, I'm going to Idi Kabasa. Cobhams is too deep, Jerry. He'll be giving us Nat King Cole and, you know, that kind of vibe. How important is that signature tune to a producer when it comes to someone who's coming into the market?
So, let me, I think it's very, very important to have a signature sound as a producer. And I also think that the best signature sound you can give yourself is not the name you sign on a song. It is the production style with which you create, where as soon as your sound is heard, like you said, instantly a person knows. You know, and I say this because, you know, Kabasa is here and we're friends. You know, you hear Gongo Aso, you don't hear Kabasa's name mentioned on the song. You hear it, and you hear, you know, Street Credibility or whatever. You don't hear, you know, his name mentioned on the song. Basically, you know, if I don't know that I've signed my name on a song. Like, I don't even know how am I going to do it. The song starts and I say Cobhams or what? So I say Kobe. Or I don't even know what to say. I think the best.
New cat. You just do meow.
Meow. I think the best signature for me as a producer that I've been able to create, and I think for a lot of great producers, is creating the best, the most excellent sound that you are able to create at that time. You know, such that when people hear it, what they actually hear that they call your signature is your best effort. And I think nothing, you know, nothing trumps that. Not putting your name on a song. And I'm not saying this to say there's anything wrong with putting your name on. For goodness sake, there's so many people who just, by signing the name on an artist's song, they themselves validate the artist and they make the artist big. So yes, there are producers who do that, and I think that's a great thing. And I don't know, I might consider doing it one of these days, I don't know. But I'm just saying that for me, to answer your question, one of the things that stands out for me is the attention to detail in creating my music that makes it my best effort yet. So that when you hear it, you're like, okay, that's Cobhams on that sound. Or when you hear it, you're like, that's Idi Kabasa on that sound. Or that's Jazzy on that sound. It's the tone selection. You know, it's how you select your tones. It's how you pace your music. It's how you drive the artist so that you can hear an artist who sings like a purring cat drinking milk on someone else's record, and then the person comes on your record and the same artist sounds like a lion, and like, this person has touched him, or this person has touched her. You instantly know the influence. You know, Michael Jackson had been making records, and when he met Quincy Jones, his life changed. You know, it's always the case. There are certain artists, and I don't want to mention names, but there are certain artists who have worked with the likes of like Don Jazzy, and for whatever reason, if they don't make music in that same space, we can see the difference. We can see the void. We can see the struggle. And it goes on and on and on and on. So yeah, I think just to answer the question again, it's the best signage or the best sound you can have as a producer is your best effort. Your best effort will always announce your name.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Applying that to, because I know there are a variety of people here, so applying that to you as an individual, whether on the business side or being an artist, if a person truly believes in a principle or a concept, you will hear it in the way they speak, right? So what happens eventually is when that person says that, it usually ends up becoming a quotable, right? You now say, this is what this person says, because that person believes in it so much that it's a recurring statement that it becomes a part of who they are. So when you're interacting with them, you know for a fact that this is who they are. So the same way you want to identify a producer, not necessarily by the things they say, but by what they create. It's the same way you want to identify business people on the industry side that are looking at principle. And I say this because we're almost losing certain principles, integrity, love for the work that we do. A lot of things are about money. And the reason why this resonated when Cobalt was talking with me, and also what Tega said about looking for friendship on the vertical, is because too many times, as my Egbon would say, when we were growing up, we worked to get paid. These days, people want to be paid to work. And you cannot build a reputation, or for lack of a better word, a signature sound or signature representation if you have not built the reputation you need to have that attached to yourself. Just wanted to say that.
So, leading into my next question for you will be the business side of music. I don't think anyone is paying attention to it. There are not enough conversations about the business side of music. And most importantly, for me, I feel like we're in the era of collabos. I know you call it collaborations, we call it collabos. When you decide that, okay, I want to do a collaboration with someone, from where you are sitting, what are some of the things that you should consider? What is like the first thing you should be thinking of? The fact that the person has blown? The fact that you like the kind of songs that they do? Or what should it be?
It varies. So I'll give you an example. So I currently work with Sony Music Publishing, right?
Yeah.
And my first meeting...
Managing director.
MD. Let's call him MD. I love her. She's troublesome like me.
Thank you very much. And the first thing I said was, it is easy. My first meeting in a global MDs conference was, it is easy to look at shiny things. But the problem with shiny things is that its value is based on who can pay the most for it. What we need to start looking at is what value can we offer to people whose potential we also see. Now, the reason why I mentioned that is there are varying reasons why I want to work with people and why I want to partner. One is, how do I show that the access and the power that I have working for the #1 publishing company in the world will contribute to the growth of this amazing talent to keep them with us for a long time? That's one. Two, how do I help this shining star that's already doing well shine brighter? Three, how do I help the people who created the legacy that they're benefiting from get the recognition that they deserve and also create new revenue streams for them? So when I'm talking to people, I'm thinking about these three things and how I can help people develop that. And that guides me in who we're signing, how we're signing them. I've had to cancel deals because I felt like those deals coming from international offices were not fair to the artist. And we've had to review those deals and put it in a way that would benefit them. But speaking generally, what you're looking for is value. Because as much as I want to, and I know there are artists here, I get sent an average of 20, 25 songs a day.
You're kidding.
Right? A day, yes. I'm not kidding, rather. And what happens normally is people then think that I don't want to listen to their songs. And don't get me wrong, I do. I just can't, right? Because one, and I'm going to be very blunt, one is music has certain emotions and spirits that follow some of it. A few years ago, I listened to a person's song, and it messed with me for a week.
In a good way or in a
bad way? I don't know who this person prayed to before he released the song or sent it to me. I don't know what it was. It messed me up. So essentially what I have now, I have an A&R team that listens to music before it gets to me. Not because if it messes with me, then I can't work the whole day, right? But that's one. But secondly, because I also have to identify the value that you're bringing. So when I sit with an artist and I say, somebody tells me I'm the next big Wizkid, that conversation has ended. And it ended because there's already Wizkid, right? So there's absolutely no value you can offer the world. But if you are you and you have something else to offer us, let's listen to the music. And I think it's part of that confidence.
Yeah. Also, this is how you clap when we don't ask you to clap. Oh yeah, clap, 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 clap.
So now you have something of value to me. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter where you are in your career. It just matters that you have something of value that we can transform into something that generates income for you and changes your life, hopefully in the nearest future. That is how these collaborations work. But more importantly, and this is directed at you guys coming up and trying to figure out your next steps, as much as I want to talk to you, I can't talk to everyone. And when one person reaches out to me or Cobhams or Tega, bear in mind that there are also 100 people trying to reach out the same way. The biggest mistake you're making is you think that this thing just happened. Half the guys I can call that are bank managers or some of them are MDs were struggling with me 10, 15, 20 years ago, right? So now we've worked together because we were able to collaborate as peers. And as he grows, I grow. As he grows, I grow. And now we're talking to each other. I can say, I remember one time I wanted to do something with the bank. And I called the head of marketing and I said, okay, there's this plan I have. I'm going to send it to you. If it's not working, tell me, don't waste my time, right? He laughed about it. I sent it to him. He said, oh, this is a great idea, but we may not need it till next year. What we're trying to sort out now. So can we do this? Can I hold this thing till next year? And I said, okay, no problem. And the following year, we were able to do business. That doesn't just happen. That comes as a result, the person knows that he can trust my ability to deliver work based on the things that they've seen over time. And I can trust his ability to deliver work based on what I've seen over time. If I'm a new guy coming into the picture and trying to have a conversation with him, it will look like he's snubbing me. But he has to protect his interest. He has a job to do. And he can't just give work to everybody. So it's important.
And his reputation.
And his reputation. So you have to understand that. So grow with your peers. Build value. And then when you build that value, you're able to come to the table. Whether it's 2 of you, 3 of you, 5 of you, or maybe just you. Build value first. Then you go to the table to collaborate. You cannot, it's not even me, you. No matter how you try to pretend, even you, there's a stage you get to that is slightly higher than where your other person that's trying to get to you is, and you're like, this person has no value to offer me. But then you're upset that the person you have no value to offer to gets pissed off. It's just life, right? So my advice would be...
It's all relative.
Yes, so my advice would be build value, and you'd be shocked at how easier the conversations would be to have, as opposed to when there's nothing to offer.
That was a good one. That was a good one. Let me see. How important are personal relationships? I know, when you have you have a client, it's business, but an element of a personal relationship at some point creeps into it. How important is that aspect of the relationship in trying to get the message that, we are constantly trying to pass to those coming up in the industry or those already in it?
Absolutely important, I always say that in life, generally, not necessarily the music business alone, you need to develop your network, and you need to sustain, the network that you've developed. You never can tell what will happen at any time. I'll refer to another, one of my ex-colleagues needed something from Ashake's team. Ashake needs no introduction. I'm sure everybody knows who Ashake is. And she wanted someone in his legal team. And she reached out to me. She reached out to me because she knows that I'm out there. She knows that there's, with all sense of humility, there's almost nobody that I don't know or that I'm not connected with or that I cannot get through, in the industry. And that's because, you know, I've maintained some form of social skill to, you know, keep my network, so to speak. And guess what? She wasn't wrong. Ashake's lawyer is just right behind there. His name is Praise. He's, you know, just let them see you now. Ashake is doing you know, that's his lawyer. And I reached out to him. I did the connect. So that's the power of keeping relationships. That's the power of networking. Keeping relationships will also help you. It will simmer down what you have to pay or what you have to give out in certain circumstances. If Zlatan decides to do a song with Davido or Olamide, for instance, he won't pay as much or go through as much stress that he would have gone through if he didn't have a relationship with these guys. You know, so that's the essence of relationships. That's the essence of keeping good networks. That's the essence of growing your social skill, just so that you can have soft landings when you're making these negotiations sometimes.
Can I just chip in something if you will? Okay, okay, good.
Now,
this is very
what
important.
she just said now, when you hear street mentality, street is not a place, it's a mindset. This, for me, is you becoming a God. God is omniscient, right? He's everywhere at the same time. This is you being in every room without being there physically. And how does this happen? You know, I read from the Bible one time, and Jesus was giving an example about one crooked servant. That the guy was a crook, and he was telling us that the crook guy did something that was nice. And I was really curious that why would you say a crook did something nice? He said the guy was buying favor. Even our current, let the masses breathe. What he did, basically, was to buy favor from different people. By the time you say, Kabasa, I need a music executive that has experience, Godwin Tom comes to my mind. Godwin Tom is not here. I am here, but I will mention your name, which means that Godwin Tom is in the room. You need what Cobham does, and I am there. A lot of times, I am not in a room, but I am also in the room.
Someone mentions your name.
Yeah. You need to be in the room and this comes with loads of humility. That part of you looking down on some people, you might need to remove it. Because the next man
Can you say that again, please?
That part of you looking down on people that this person cannot help me, this person cannot do stuff and all of that, you might need as an artist to actually remove that. And it comes with you respecting everyone regardless of who they are. Because they will be in a room that you will not be in, and your name needs to actually pop up. I've never met Ashake's lawyer, by the way.
My court, Praise.
Yeah,
my court,
so
my court.
For me, that is funny enough. I've actually heard about, definitely, you know, I'm inside that YBNL whole thing. And I've heard about him before meeting him. So that is important for you. Street is not about you living at Abuloja. Street is about you knowing how to survive. It's a mindset, survivor mentality. Before you leave this place, connect with people. Get the numbers so that by the time you get up there, you said getting a song to do, like Zlatan, doing a song with, and all of those people. Zlatan actually won a particular competition. I was the judge. I was a judge on the program. And Zlatan had been dreaming of doing a song with Olamide. All that needed to happen was, Ola, I have this boy, he sounds like you, which is the reason why I'm not even really interested. But if you can listen to him. And before, the rest is history today.
Yep.
The rest is history today. So you need to pay attention to what she just said. That street mindset of get to know everybody. Some of them will be useful. Some of them will not be useful. But at least catch everybody before you start sorting them.
And separate the wheat from the chaff, as I say. Remember that song, next time you listen to Street Credibility, it will hit different. Because you now know the mentality of the street that it's talking about. And not just that, There's a song by Kiss Daniel where he says, no, it's not Kiss Daniel, something, yeah, no day carry your shoulder. That's Kiss Daniel, right? So remember that. Stay humble. You're going to say something.
Yes, so I was going to say something. I was going to say, and this goes to a lot of artists, because I had to learn this. And I didn't learn this early enough in my career, even though I was always steeped in it. Artists have a way of, relying on their talent more than anything else. And I'm saying this in the spirit of collaboration and personal relationships. Sometimes you know that you're good. People know that you're good, but people don't know you. So you're knowing that you're good is happening in your studio, happening in your little space.
Or in your
head. That's where it all starts. That's where it all ends. I'm saying this because I'll give you a quick example. So I went to King's College, and one of the things that KC will teach you to do is build personal relationships. I had a relationship with a friend of mine, Olabode Muniz. Muniz and I, just know each other from school and all that. And from knowing Muniz, I had a trying case one time, with some friends, and it became a bit convoluted. And Muniz got involved, and Muniz introduced me to Yemisi. And, Yemisi and I started to work from there. So, if I didn't have a relationship with someone like that, and if he didn't collaborate with someone like Yemisi, who was working, they both happened to be working where they were working, we wouldn't build that relationship. Idi Kabasa, we've talked about him, he's here. So obviously, Idi Kabasa, nice, Lord of Ajasa, Olamide, Adekunle Gold,
Lil Kesh,
Fireboy, DML, Lil Kesh, Fireboy, DML, Ashake, and such and such and such. All these relationships are based on personal connections, based on collaborations and personal connections. So just to say that personal connection is everything. And I'm saying this especially because a lot of us rely on our talent. Believe me, your talent is great, but even I have learned that sometimes there's a reason why people join country clubs, there's a reason why people join golf clubs, there's a reason why people join Alpha Phi Alpha, whatever they call it, all these what they call them, societies in university. I'm not talking of secret cult.
Don't join secret cult.
Not secret cult too. All these societies and sororities and things like that in school, the reason people join all of these things, gentlemen's clubs back in the day and all of that, is so that you can build personal relationships, so that you can collaborate. If you have the money, when you get to that point, because you will, a lot of people are making money right now. All you want to do is buy, or rent a house in a concrete jungle in Lekki somewhere. Take some of that money and invest in...
Or buy a car
if they
that they can't afford.
Exactly. But if they accept you in a Ikoyi club, it will be tough. But if they accept you in some kind of club, some kind of place where you go out and you meet people and you're able to collaborate, it will change your life. We're like batteries. The kinds of people you stay close to are the kinds of people you eventually become. So personal relationship is
Thank you, Kovam. Tell him. Before I forget, if you have any questions online, please begin to send them. I know that we're live as well. Send them via Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Before we get to the questions, I will take a couple. Can someone let me know how many minutes we have for questions? Now, what for you people? Who told you that I can see all the way to the back there?
Three
Nonsense
minutes.
and ingredients.
3 minutes.
Okay, so we'll take the questions. So who's going to navigate with me? Oh yeah, okay, first question. Put your hand up, first question. I'll take you. Yeah, go ahead. You, in the back there, with glasses, yeah. Please stand up very quickly. Make it a question, not a comment. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, ma. My question is for Miss Yemisi.
No free legal service on stage.
There you go. Case closed. Next question.
I was joking.
We're joking.
Okay, but really, my question is that how do you work with cats like myself? Because I've been making music for a while, and I write, I produce, and most times the challenges I've been having are legal, and when it's time to put out a song as a songwriter, I can't get through to a lawyer to handle that for me. And even as a producer, I have to do this and that and that. So, and I feel like there hasn't been as much transparency over the years with the people I've come across. He said something about fear of not knowing, but there's also that fear of experience. So how do you, what do you do? What's the first step? Do we sign up? What do we do as, as creatives with you?
Thank you. Yemisi, do you want to take that very quickly?
So,
in short, she should come and look for you.
Godwin and I want to do a Don Jazzy, D'banj kind of thing.
Collabo type of something. Okay. Remember, we're all here when this deal goes down.
Passe.
So, let me answer that question. I know you're asking Yemisi. Let's put it in perspective. Yeah? So you see Yemisi today, before this thing started, between me, Tega, and Yemisi, I didn't discuss extensively with Cobhams or ID Kabasa, but we moved 2 meetings to sit here, to stay, right? Or 3. So Yemisi is going to go back. She's going to have to sit in another meeting and answer some really difficult questions. I have my global office standing by waiting for me to come and answer 10 questions that they've asked me in the last 2 days. Now, what you are looking at is don't get me wrong, is your personal problem. Do you get what I'm saying? What you need to start thinking about is who around me. The worst things we do is we look up and not at the road. If you look at the road, you're going to identify a few lawyers that are willing to work with you, but you are not willing to work with them. So the first thing is to identify who are those young lawyers around you that you can talk to. That's one. Because those lawyers, now let me tell you why. Because those lawyers have access to lawyers who have access to lawyers who have access to lawyers.
And the list
right?
goes on.
So if you start with that, so now you and that lawyer can grow. A lot of the lawyers you see now that have big reputations where nobody is at some point. So what you want to do is find the people around you, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a producer, whether it's a manager, you want to find the people around you that can help you get through without having to spend bank. That's one option. The other example I'll give you, Yemisi used to work for a company they used to be called ACAS Law. Now they're called ACAS Dental. Dentons, yeah? Now, they approached me to manage an artist at a point. I liked the way they were working. I became a fan. But I could not afford them. I could not. But I really, 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 really wanted to work with them. Do you know what I did? Do you remember? I wrote a plan. I wrote a plan for 5 years, and I asked them to allow me to do a presentation. So I did a presentation to ACAS Law and explained where I'm going in the next 5 years and why it's important for them to represent me on a pro bono basis.
Hello.
Right? Now,
yeah.
Now, there's a chance that they would have said no. But part of it was them thinking about what would happen if they missed on the opportunity to work with me.
And where this guy is going in 5 years.
That built an amazing relationship over, I think, 3 years or 4, where we were able to, I brought as much business as I could bring, and it created a relationship. Some of them have left ACAS Law, but I'm still friends with every single lawyer there, and I'm able to call them. So my advice to you is this.
Oh, by the way, the dream he sold to us, the plan he analyzed to us, the plan he presented to us is actually coming through now. I knew about Music Business Africa before your...
Right? So that's my advice. So it's not a bashing. And it's important you understand this. Why I'm saying this is because you're looking at Yemisi, but Yemisi has like 6, 7 clients. And she has to focus. Or more. Right? And she has to focus. Many other people are doing the same thing. Now, they mentioned Ashake's lawyer. Sorry, brother, you're not going to live here in peace.
can't.
Right? Right? That's just the reality, because the way you see, the people you see, a lot of people want. Maybe look into building what is around you, building your own environment, your own house, and then growing from there, and having the people who are lawyers find lawyers like them to ask questions. There are a few other lawyers in this house that may not be the Yemisi, but me, I've seen some. The one that is putting his hand on Ashake's lawyer's shoulder is somebody else you should also talk to. Just me giving you a bit of hint.
Start from where you are.
Start from where you are.
Start from where you are. That's what he's trying to say. Another question? No, there was somebody in there. You people are confused. You people should stop it. You're confusing me. You're confusing me. In white t-shirt, please ask a question. Can I have a mic, please? Can I have a mic? It's right here. Thank you. A question, make it short, direct, and you'll get the same response.
Oh, please, I want to ask a question. For an artist that did a song individually, didn't feature with any other artist, and let me just use myself for an example. I'm a musical artist. I'm also a producer. I produce myself. Okay, and I didn't feature anybody on the song. So I'm like the fourth person that my...
God we talked about, yes.
About. So do I still need any legal...
You perform?
Yes, ma'am.
You wrote?
Yes, ma'am.
You produced?
Yes, ma'am.
You paid your...
He's a one-man band, in short.
He's a four-man.
Go on with your question.
So, do I still need any legal agreement? Because while we were doing the YouTube class, someone asked the question that, let's assume you have a song, and before you release it, someone else now put it up on a streaming platform, and is now earning from it. So you now want to challenge that person that this is my property. So do I need a legal...
Do you get
agreement?
The question here already? Okay, I think they get the question. I think
one answer I will first tell before the talk is, for anybody I talk to now, the day you tell me you want to do music, probably I should put this out. The real owner of the music industry are not us. These people own it. I'm being sincere with you guys.
Go girl.
Lawyers own the industry. Because at the end of the day, you are making copyrights that people are going to either buy, like he was talking about licenses the other time, that you are selling in a way, you are selling rights and all of that. I did a small course with this Berkeley, whatever, on copyright. That was the day I found how ignorant I've been. Despite the fact that I've been creating music, I now found out that anybody that pays for the studio session actually owns the master. And this is ID cap. That is to tell you, that was the day, and that was the day I called my lawyer. I said, you see, all these boys, I own all the masters because I didn't get paid. But before then, I would tell them, you own it, because I was celebrating my ignorance, unfortunately.
That's an aha moment right there. That's an aha moment.
Which is why you need... See, I'm not a lawyer. If you ask me about some of the things you're asking, let me see, I will not answer you, and I celebrate my ignorance. I didn't go to school to study law. I studied economics. But as a music creator, you might need to also differentiate the business of music and the music business. There is a place of making music, which is a business, and there's a place of actually selling these rights. You might get Godwin some, but sincerely, Godwin can do so much, but you need these people. The first people I will tell you to get, they know when it is fair use. They know when it is, what is the opposite of fair use? Overuse. You need a lawyer in your corner. I am eating on some of my old catalogs because I got a lawyer. And to also support what Godwin Tom was saying, you know Akinyemi, right? I knew Akinyemi when Akinyemi was leaving university. And that was when I was like, let me colobi you before you blow. Oh yeah, come and do stuff with me. And today, he's still my lawyer. And he's doing well. Get a lawyer.
Let me add something very quickly to what ID Kabasa has. Because, sometimes somebody can tell you, don't touch, and your mind, you're still thinking, why? So now they've told you, get a lawyer, and you're still thinking, wait, hold on a second. But I said I'm the one that created everything. I'm this, I'm that. Why do I still need to get a lawyer? You see, sometimes on the road, when you're driving, it's not about how careful you are. It's about the mad people who are ready to jam you. Okay? The reason I'm saying that is this. The reason I'm saying that is this. So you've produced your song, you've created it, you've made the music, you've done everything, you've gone out. All of a sudden your song blows. One human being from somewhere shows up and says the song was not actually yours from the beginning. Here's the concept. How do you begin to deal with it?
Case closed.
You know, you need a lawyer to navigate. You wrote your song by yourself. You know you were in your room when you wrote your song. But this person is saying you copied their song. You've never seen them a day in your life, but they are suing you. What do you want to do? You can't go and represent yourself now. You need a lawyer who needs to, and guess what? Let me tell you the reason why it will be very bad if you don't get a lawyer. There are lawyers. Somebody comes in here, God forbid, pulls out a gun, shoots somebody. There's a lawyer that will defend that person. The reason I'm saying that is there's a lawyer who will defend the madman who's claiming your song. And the lawyer knows more law than you do. So you can lose your song that you create, and you're going to be so confused and so pained when it happens to you. This is why you must get a lawyer. Because legalese.
Offer them, then you can also, the question that was asked the other time, like I said, if you want to hold, you won't grow. You can offer your lawyer percentage from everything that you earn.
There you go.
Sincerely, if you can, some of them are looking for, not, Yemisi is busy and all of that. But if you have the one that you want to grow with, and you know that this one I can give.
You don't have money immediately.
Please.
Cut them a deal. Let them advise you on everything. As the contract is landing your table.
Thank you, Cobra.
They look at it and advise you.
2 more questions. I'm going to take that female there. In glasses. Can you stand up, please? Very quickly. We don't have time. We have one more question after this.
My question will be straight to the point. I'm a classical singer in school. And there is a concert we are about to host, and we want to do, it's somehow like a cover, Cobham's One Hit. Do I still need to make the clarity in case it blows and all?
Cobham, so you're talking. Talk.
It's an example. It's not like we're doing his song, or I'm just making it as an example. Do I still need to get the clarification from him before we...
So it depends. So there are a number of things, right? It depends. Earlier on, a question was asked about samples, covers, interpolations, and all of that. If you're doing a song as a cover, right, to put on YouTube so that you can promote yourself as an artist, that's all you're doing. You're not monetizing it. People are going to hear it, they're going to know it, they're going to love it, and they'll use that to know you and use that to grow. The law might change, but as it stands, that's not something that necessarily requires express permission of the artist. As far as I know, Yemisi might speak differently to it because she's a lawyer. But as far as I know, you can make a cover, put it on YouTube, as long as you're not monetizing it, and you carry on. If it is a sample means you cut a part, an excerpt of the song, and use it to create. That's a more tricky situation. At that point, and I have to say this, I made a terrible mistake with that one time. So I don't, say you're Gen Z, sorry, so you might not know this. But I made a song for an artist one time called Bears. Play that stupid song.
Yeah.
And I used the sample. Para. It came originally from dun 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
When we did something in London, somebody counted how many times I used that sample in the song. I did it. I did not know I used it 9 times. They were the ones that told. The only thing that saved me was I had a 1-song deal with Universal, and the guys who owned that original song happened to be on Universal. So I forked over a couple $1,000 and 15% of that song to those guys. So yes, sampling can be like that. The reason I'm saying that, and to come and answer your question, is if you're doing a concert and you're not monetizing it, or maybe you're monetizing it but not in a way that it can be tracked standard. So Aria Ticket is selling your tickets, or you're selling your ticket by yourself. There's really no way we can manage that. Now, if you're singing Waymaker, Sinachi's song, and you're doing that in Houston or in LA or somewhere like that, churches register with an organization that manages those kinds of things and make sure she collects that money. Now, if you're speaking to me and you're saying you're doing it, are you asking me now expressly for permission because we have met? Because Make Music has brought us together, I can tell you, of course, go ahead and use it. And I'm actually saying that. However, keep in mind that if it's stuff that you're going to be monetizing, if you're going to put it on Netflix, you're going to put it on someplace and it's going to be monetized, the situation will change very quickly. But if you're just talking about doing your concerts, maybe in Unilag Main Auditorium or somewhere, my darling, please go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Come on, you're on fire today. You're on fire today. Can we take another question there? I'll come back here.
Okay.
Very quickly. Make your questions very quick and very direct, please.
Thank you. My question first is to Godwin Tom.
First, no. Part one and part two.
Yes, they're sequential. So it's to Godwin Tom Publishing. I want to ask this. Record label, you are an emerging label, and you're featuring an A-list artist. You've done the whole conversation. There's a future fee. You've paid in millions. And the label has said that we want to drop the song in June. You feature this artist in January. Now, the artist writes, you get to the artist in May and say, I want to drop this song. And the artist tell you, my verse is stale. You're talking of millions and say, no, this verse is stale. You can't drop this song because it is stale. It has happened to me twice from the end of last year to now. We're not talking of $1 million naira. Say, oh, I sound better than what I sound. And then it's supposed to be June. So in a situation like that, a lot of people are going to meet this.
What's the question?
The artist is saying the verse that I gave you that you want to drop, that you've paid for.
No, we get that part. We're saying, so
yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like, what would you do in a case like that? Then the second part is, what is the place of a featured artist when you're splitting, publishing? I paid you for a verse, and then in millions, we are splitting sheets. I want to go ahead to publish it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let me answer this really quickly.
Yes, very quickly.
First thing is that nobody assigns, it's what you own that you get, right? So it's not a thing you can assign to somebody by yourself. The publishing is, we both agree that I wrote X amount of this song, and for that reason I'm getting X percentage, right? That is my contribution to the composition of the song. Now, what you are talking about is a side artist agreement, right? A featured artist agreement. Artist? Yes, that's what it's called. It's a side artist agreement or a featured artist agreement. And essentially, what has started happening now is people have started putting time frames between recording and release of a song. Yes, the truth of the matter is, if the artist feels uncomfortable about a particular type of verse going out because they've developed themselves for the last 5 months, sadly, if your contract doesn't have a time limit that says, well, I'm still within the time and we don't have time to release it, I also think that sometimes it's in your interest to also say, you know what, yes, let's go back and get a better version of the song right now. That's also another option that you could have. But I think two things can be the case. The artist can say, look, I can give you a better verse, and we can go with that. Or you can say, you're contractually bound to this particular verse you've given me because I need to put it out within a particular amount of time. Those are two different things, and that you can deal with that. But that issue is not a publishing issue, right? That's more of a labor-related legal issue that you need to go and address with the artist. Now, on the split sheets, you cannot just assign. Sometimes the artist may not even be the one that wrote the thing, right? So if the artist didn't write it, then they don't have any say. I know many songs that someone wrote and an artist came in and, you know, for example, the Heal Me song that Rihanna did for Black Panther. Is it for Black Panther? Yeah. Yeah? Was written by Thames. So when the publishing revenue is coming, nobody talks to Rihanna. They talk to Thames.
Finish.
You get what I'm saying? So those are different situations.
But Godwin, there's a small problem here. I think part of what he's saying is this, that the featured artist, he's already paid the featured artist money, but the featured artist is asking for splits from the record. I think that's part of what he's saying.
Yeah, so that's part of the side artist agreement. Inside artist agreement, that's what I'm saying. Look, get a lawyer. Because the side artist agreement tells you how many points you've given this featured artist or not. And if the artist comes after an agreement and says, oh, if you agreed in the beginning to pay him and give him points, then that's your agreement. You pay him and give him points. If it's not agreed, then you tell him, look, the contract we signed doesn't say I give you any of this. That is my own take. But I cannot give you advice as a publishing MD. Because what you're saying, I answered the publishing one. The other one, please get a lawyer.
I think there
And
are
we're back to
a
the
few
legal
things. I
issue
think there are a
again.
few things that can help actually. I think for the artist, the featured artist, I think one thing you can do going forward, I don't know about this immediate situation, but going forward, I think you can either decide, so the featured artist, if the person wrote their own verse on the song, then they have publishing. There's nothing you can do about that. I think maybe what you can do is to decide in your contract with them to say, look, I'm paying you 5 million naira as an artist. However, I'm considering it as an advance that will be recouped when publishing begins to come. And by the time I've collected my 5 million, you can now begin to continue to collect your publishing. Because the person's publishing actually belongs to them. You can either do that, or the artist can say, look, what the hell, I'm Davido and my face is like this and I'm like that. So this 5 million you're giving me is because I'm showing my face in your song anyway. So it has nothing to do with your publishing. So it means my publishing is intact. You're paying me that 5 million naira on reconnaissance, on the basis of I am an artist and I can command it, so what? In which case, you know, your 5 million naira is gone. You paid it so that that artist can show up. It's not gone, actually. But you paid it so that that artist can show up on your song. However, the artist publishing will almost always remain the artist publishing because the artist wrote on the song.
Don't go and collaborate.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, don't go and collaborate with a particular artist. Wala. Yes. All of this.
Adi Kabasa, that was you. That was all him. Oh. That was all him. Again, hold on. I think again, we're going back to this legal bit. Start with the lawyers. Start with the lawyers and you won't have this kind of question.
Get a lawyer before
before you do anything, before you do nada. Next question, you.
This is the last question, Abi. Oh, we're done.
I was told we could do, we're done, half, like, I should cut off my head, like slice my head off, kind of. I'm just asking, I just want to. No, hold on, they're not giving me permission. No. He's standing, can we go?
How quickly, do this quickly, go.
Should we time in? Case closed.
What's the question?
There's a mic, quickly.
Thank you. So the question is that if an artist is signed to a record label that doesn't have big recognition, then another record label that is very influenced came in and said, okay, I want to sign this guy to my record label. Is it possible or is it right for the artist?
Let me answer this very quickly. First of all, if that's the artist that you are a bad person. That's the first thing. The second thing I must say, listen, if you're contractually bound to a label and someone else comes, they shouldn't be talking to you. They should be talking to the label.
Finish. Fini, finish.
However, I'm sorry, let me just add something to that.
You have 30 seconds.
Can I just add something to that? So there's an opportunity where you're not on a big label and a big label shows up and shows interest in you. Number one, like Godwin said, let them talk to your label. Because what can happen is they can institute something called a JV, a joint venture, where the two labels can actually come together and the big label will get a percentage which they will decide and they can together push you. But your label, your current label, has to make the decision because you're contractually
There you go.
bound to
Thank you.
Sorry.
I want to round up.
Okay.
One more word from ladies first. Ladies, and then we'll go to your ID Kabasa.
No, I have to round
No,
up.
ladies first.
No, you have to. If you want to round up, let him go.
Yes.
Okay, let me quickly say this.
Very quickly, because we gotta go.
So there is a term in town now, indie label, that you are an independent artist. Freedom without borders. Is a vice. Freedom, true freedom, is actually your ability to choose what you are enslaved to. In terms of making choice. That you are an indie artist doesn't mean you don't need all of these people. Indie artist is what I've been hearing, and people will tell you, I can be my own A&R, and my own this. No, you are not.
Yeah.
You are running indie. If you go and study the word indie artist, you will see all of this. So please, being an independent artist does not exclude you from collaborating with people.
There you go. Be aware. Let me see, as you want to round up nicely, in
I'll
a
try.
fast-ish kind of way.
I'll try.
Fast-ish.
So, come to me,
And there you go.
all ye that labor in the music industry, and I will give you rest and help you make money. After you have given me money.
I was just going to say, you help them make money, but some money's got to come to you as well. Thank you so much. I always say these panels, we need like a whole day for each segment, but it never happens. See me begging every year. So we're done. I want to say thank you to you, Godwin Tom. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. Yemisi, thank you. I love that you're sitting with the guys and you're killing it sharply too, might I add. ID Kabasa, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm a fan, I'm a junkie. Everyone on this stage. Cobhams, they hear me now. What's wrong with you? You know, thank you very much for being here. You guys are awesome, and thank you for taking time out to come and celebrate with us, make music. We are here to do a good thing, and thank you for coming out and supporting us. We just love you guys, and thank you, the audience. Thank you. Hold on.
Please, can we take group photos, please?
Can we get a picture?
Can we have the make music thing during the stage so we can get group photos? Thank you.
Can the panel take the picture before the rest of the crew join? Hold on. Panel first. Thank you.
Oh my baby, money no fit buy this kind.